The penultimate round in the group stages of the Tech Mahindra Global Chess League. We see Anish Giri and Alireza Firouzja shaking hands there. If Anish's team wins this, the PBG Alaskan Knights will make it to the finals. If Alireza's Triveni Continental Kings win, they will be actually having a very good chance to enter the finals. So a very important clash there, as we have the guest who asks Anish which move to make on the board, and Anish says whichever one you would like to, it's all fine. And we have the guest making the move d4, and Anish takes it back. Some players actually tell the move which they want to make, which one of them is Magnus Carlsen, but Anish was like, I want to make my own move. He plays 1e4 against Alireza. Alireza has been in phenomenal form in this tournament, 6.5 out of 8. But Anish has also been doing pretty well. He actually beat Vishy Anand here, and you can see Alireza's opening choice has a lot to do with how he wants to fight here. So c6 played, queen a5, threatening the pawn here because the knight is pinned. Anish gets his bishop out, defends the pawn. And now Alireza pushes his pawn in the center. Now this is a provocative opening clearly, because white has a lot of space. Black has brought his queen out early. But one of the reasons why Alireza is playing this way is because he wants to kind of get a position which his opponents haven't analyzed. h3 played here by Anish. And now Firouzja takes, queen takes, and knight bd7. I already like black's position. In fact, it's worked out pretty well, this opening. Anish castles. And now maybe e takes f4 already is a strong move. He goes bishop d6. And Anish pushes forward f5. Maybe he wants to go g4, g5. But Alireza is like, think twice before you do that. I'm going h5. Now pawn pushes forward. He wants to go b4 at the right moment. h4 is played here to clamp down on these squares, and king moves away. Alireza moving in with his knight. He's moving rapidly there. 16 minutes 30 seconds for Alireza, 16 minutes 40 seconds for Anish, taking control of these two important squares. He brings the queen back, maybe with the idea of coming here with the knight. b4 played to stop that, and now the knight comes into f4. It's important now whether to take this knight or not. Anish says, I want to take. The engine prefers not to take it, because now if you see, Anish has won a pawn. However, Alireza has complete dark square control. His knight on this square cannot be moved away. And now black's play is way easier than what it was before. But Anish is like, hey, I have an extra pawn and I can keep grinding there. Look, you can see now this knight sinks in. The bishop looks terrible actually. It is blocked by its own pawns. But Anish keeps improving his position. He brings his king in. I love this move, trying to open up more squares. And Anish goes b5. Now you can take here, pawn takes and take here, but then after rook b1 it would be nice for white. So he takes, bishop takes, and rook c8, attacking the c2 pawn. He comes back here, and Alireza moves in with the rook. It feels as if Alireza's moves are just flowing here. a4 played here by Anish, trying to create some attack on this backward pawn. The king moves forward on the dark squares. King e2 played, and maybe the king can even attack the rook here. Wow, king g5. Amazing how Alireza is turning on the heat here. Rook goes back to f1. The engine says this is equal, but clearly black is for choice. Look at all his pieces being so active here. Now Anish plays his king to d2. Rook goes back, and he goes rook b1, trying to put pressure on b7. b6 played there, just a small little pawn push. and the rook moves in. Now the rook is attacking the knight and f6 is played. You can see Anish moving in with the rook, wanting to trade it off. Firouzja is like, no way I'm going to trade it. King comes up to e3. Very, very complex game this is. I think now Firouzja would like to put his rook here, the other rook coming in. But he first attacks the pawn. Goes rook a3. If you take here, the problem is there's a fork, so you can't even take the pawn. He goes king d2. Rook comes up to c6. And now the a4 pawn is hanging. Bishop b5, he comes back, and Anish would be very happy with a draw here. He comes back and attacks the pawn. And Firouzja now, he could already enter here, and he's doing it. Wow, he comes in with his king, takes here, and now he can take this pawn or king g3. Both look good. He takes the pawn. Anish sacks an exchange here. If you take back here with the pawn, rook g6 followed by rook g4 would be a mate. So king takes is better. King e3 and rook e7 is played to stop this mate. Now the black king is perpetually in a mating net. The rook has to stay in there to stop it. Anish waits with his rook. But what Alireza has in this position is this a passer. This game is getting very exciting now. Anish moves his rook behind the pawn. He has 4 minutes. Alireza has 7 minutes on the clock. So Alireza doing well on the board, also on the clock. While the a pawn starts to run, Anish Giri can also make his c pawn run down the board. And imagine it reaches here. It cannot be taken because this is a mate. Wow, the race has begun. c4 has been played. And now rook a3 might be the best move, but he pushes the pawn forward one more step. Well, all that Anish can do is to keep pushing his own pawn forward. He does it. c5. And can we go a2? Because if you go a2, rook d6 followed by rook d5 is a mate. Oh my goodness, Anish Giri is crazy. He set up a mating attack. So he takes here, and Firouzja now takes the pawn, but the resulting position is drawn. Amazing play there by Anish. Somehow he managed to trick his opponent, and it's still not easy. It's still not easy for both sides. As you can see, there is a pin here, but Anish is not worried. Rook here means a mate. So rook comes back. Firouzja down to 4 minutes 15 seconds. Anish has 2 minutes 58 seconds. He moves his rook to the side of the board. g6 played. He takes. So the king has wriggled out of the mating net, but on the other hand, now the pawns of black are pretty weak. He goes king d6. He could have taken the pawn actually, but he goes king d6. Rook check. Has to come back. Yeah, he comes back. Rook a8. I think he's afraid of the fact that there is rook e8 check. Rook c6. And now Anish, does he want to trade rooks? No, he doesn't. King comes in and he plays bishop e2 so that when taken he has a check. King needs to move back. Check again. And we've reached a position where the h pawn is going to be lost here. Alireza trying to attack the pawn. King f3. He plays rook g5, giving up that pawn. Now this one is actually a very positive position for Anish. Just put the bishop here and he can never lose. You can see there's a spring in his step, because not only has he got the winning position, he also has more. Not only has he got the safe position, not winning, it's actually equal, but he's got kind of this thing where he cannot lose. You can see both sides moving very rapidly. In fact, Anish has made Alireza start to play very quickly. and the speed at which they both are playing is just absolutely intense here. Super speed, but Anish has those extra 30 seconds where he's just trying to somehow trick his opponent and win on time. And Alireza also moving quickly. Maybe there'll be a 50 move rule coming into effect, perhaps. Oh, and look at this. The rook. He actually left his rook on the d3 square, but Alireza picked it up and placed it there again on d3 and then moved it to e3. Let's have a look at that in slow motion. The rook is lifted by Alireza. He comes to d3, leaves his hand, then catches it again, puts it back, and then places it on e3. And Anish was very quick. Even before making his move, he pauses the clock there, calls the arbiter, and that was great presence of mind. And the arbiter says you can't do that. So the rook has been kept on d3, and now Anish gets this. Oh my god, look at how Anish tricked Alireza Firouzja there by playing fast and at the key moment missing that thing, and now this rook endgame is completely winning. Insane how things panned out there. Pushes the pawn. And now Alireza hoping against hope that there is some kind of a draw, but it's impossible. He's 2 pawns down. King comes back, check, rook g3. And now rook goes to e3. Fantastic move, and the e pawn is simply running down along with the king's help, and this is game over. Anish Giri has managed to outwit Alireza Firouzja, and one would say it would often happen that such things would be done by Alireza Firouzja to other players, trying to speed up and creating a situation where the opponent blunders, but actually it was Anish who managed to do that, and with this very critical win he actually helps his team, the PBG Alaskan Knights, to win the match against the Triveni Continental Kings and enter the finals. Anish Giri showing his class there. He was put under pressure by Firouzja, but he didn't crack, and in the end he managed to outplay his opponent.